Good morning, sir. Very good morning, everyone. I, Himani Gautam, welcome you all in the third day of this 1 week faculty development program on effective research methodology and publication, which is jointly being organized by Just Agriculture Education Group, SGT University, Gurugram. Today we are here with with the guest of third day of this faculty development program, Dr. OP Yadav sir. So Dr. O.P. Yadav sir is presently serving as the director of ICR Central Arid Zone Research Institute, Jodhpur, and he is serving on this position since 2015. So sir has more than 33 years of experience of research and management in different ICR institutes and state agriculture universities. And under his leadership, the ICR Central Arid Zone Research Institute, Jodhpur, has won the Best Institute Award from the Indian Council of Agriculture Research, Department of Agriculture Research and Education, Government of India. Sir has also worked as the director of the ICR Indian Institute of Maize Research during 2012 to 15 to lead the maize research program of the country. Sir also worked as the coordinator of AICRP on pearl millet during 2010 to 12 to lead pearl millet research program of the nation. And the results of his research efforts have led to the release of 11 commercial cultivars, including biofortified hybrids and varieties that are largely grown in various states of our country. And sir has been trained at the Harvard School of Business, Boston and Cornell University, New York, and Grassland and Environment Research Institute, UK. So he is widely traveled person in USA, UK, France, Germany, Belgium, Switzerland, Mexico, Australia, Egypt, and many more other countries. So he has been awarded with many prestigious awards, which include the Rafi Ahmad Kidwai Award for Outstanding Research in Agricultural Sciences, and that was in 2021. This is the highest award in our country for conducting exceptional research work with high impact at farmers' field. He has also won the fellowship of the Indian National Science Academy 2021, and also won the fellowship of National Academy of Agricultural Sciences in 2011. Sir has published more than 240 research papers in high impact research journals, including Nature. So the list of his achievement is very lengthy, and we are very sure that his expertise and his knowledge will enlighten our participants about today's topic. So, sir, now I welcome you to deliver your insightful talk and uh, satisfy the queries of our participants. So, welcome, sir, and over to you.
Good morning, everyone.
Welcome. Yeah, sir, you're audible and visible.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks, Dr. Himani Gautam, for elaborate introduction. And let me begin by thanking my esteemed colleague, friend, and my kind of mentor since student days, Dr. R.S. Yadav, Professor and Associate Dean, who has really played a very important role in my professional life as a guide, as a friend, and in many other roles. And in fact, he was responsible for connecting me to this conference. So thank you very much, Dr. Saab. It has been always a pleasure to be associated with you. And of course, we have worked together and we have written papers jointly as well on areas of common interest. And that is probably one thing which both of us enjoyed to a great extent, because working in Rajasthan, working in difficult environment conditions, make your research job very challenging. But at the same time, it makes your job very unique because you are addressing some issues that are really addressed by a relatively fewer number of the scientists. And in the process, you do develop good information, you create new knowledge, and then you try to publish the research papers out of that new knowledge and new information. And with this background, I will be very happy, in fact, to share my own experience. I'm not a kind of person who is really, can guide such a diverse group, how to publish, how to write a paper, how to get it reviewed, and so on. What I will be doing in the next half an hour or so, I will be experiencing my own experience. I will be sharing my own experience, that how we basically start almost from a scratch, and then we move forward in the process of conducting research, writing our own papers, and in the process, the kind of the experience we get. I think I will be sharing with you that kind of experience. In case it is useful to you, I will be very happy. But if not, then today's world is full of the information available on the Google. And you can generate as much information as you want in any subject. So with this, let me share my presentation with you. Is my presentation visible?
Yes, sir, it's visible. Kindly put it on screen slideshow mode. Yeah.
I have done it. Is it okay now?
Yeah, sir. Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So the topic on which I will be deliberating with you is how to publish and make your research known. I assume and safely assume that this is the group which is involved in the research and which is trying to document the research results out of their projects, out of the work they are doing at this university. And since my background is agriculture, I may cite a few examples specifically in agriculture research, but those examples will be as relevant to other non-agriculture research as well. So the very first question that comes to our mind, that after all, why do we publish? We all know the reasons of this, but when we elaborate it further, then we do realize that many a time the publishing of a research paper or review paper or any other research article is part of our requirement of a thesis or the project that we have been undertaking. It is also important to satisfy our scientific curiosity. The scientist, if he's not curious enough, if he's not inclined to create a new knowledge, if he's not able to think beyond horizons, if he's not able to think beyond the stereotype kind of thinking, then probably there are some issues. So the research that we conduct, the research papers that we publish, it is definitely giving us a lot of scientific satisfaction as well, and it comes out of our curiosity. Of course, science is one area in which basically you work for your profession. In addition to the package and the salaries that you are getting from your employer, additional advantage of working as a scientist is that you get a good benefit at your personal level, because whatever research you are doing at whatever platform, it brings the personal kind of recognition of your efforts. So that is the uniqueness of the every scientist working in any area of the science, that we are basically getting the salary as a professional, but at the same time, our recognition is at a personal level in addition to the university where we conducted the research. And of course, publication is absolutely important, because whosoever employer has employed you, the employer will definitely expect that good quality of publications are published on the platform of the organizations at which we all are working. And of course, it's obligation on part of our profession. It's absolutely important to really become very sincere and kind of the dedicated person to our profession. And in the process of conducting research and publishing our research articles, on the way we get peer recognition. And that peer recognition is probably one of the most important things. As we move ahead in your career, you realize that the peer recognition is probably more important than anything else. But again, this is a kind of part of evolution as a researcher, evolution as a scientist. So that output of the recognition may come as a technology that basically you create for your client, let it be farmer, let it be industry, or let it be something else. Or it may result into a creation of the knowledge which didn't exist before, which may come in terms of your patent. And also the new knowledge that we create, it may help us to understand a process. It may help us to understand the mechanism of any process, or we may develop some concept also, and ultimately all that knowledge, process, mechanism, and concept, they may result into a particular product, particularly in agriculture. And when we come to agriculture, then let me put before you that in our country, we are having 111 Indian Council of Agriculture Research Institutes. One of them is our institute, which I am representing in this meeting. There are 75 state agriculture universities, and there are a large number of the private universities, including SGT Gurgaon. All these institutes, organizations, and SAUs and other universities, they are offering a lot of courses, and they are also conducting research. If I remain restricted to the agriculture research scientist working in the public domain, particularly from the ICR and SAUs, the total number of the scientists are more than 8,000, and this is the largest network of agriculture research in the world, which as a country India is representing. So this is in nutshell, why do we publish our own research? Coming to second question, what do we publish? The topmost priority is that we do write research papers, and as we become experienced and develop a expertise on a particular area of specialization, we do write review papers, which are basically a very good synthesis of the previous knowledge, including your own work. And generally, it is said that review papers should be on your area of specialization. Nowadays, there are some other issues that probably I will explain, I will address in the future, in the slides that will be coming forward during this course of presentation. We do also publish some commentaries on the contemporary issues. Contemporary issues have been absolutely important, and they are very dynamic in nature. So writing commentaries on those contemporary issues, let it be climate change, let it be a new challenge before science, let it be a kind of what are the policy intervention, are they really able to promote science, or they are not doing enough? Those kind of your own thoughts, your own ideas, you can write in form of the commentaries, and all good journals are accepting those commentaries on the contemporary issues. We do write popular articles also, which are very, very important for taking the message of the science to the clientele. Relatively, they need to be simple so that they can be understood fully by the people having not a great background in terms of science, but they are very interested in the output, in the product, in the knowledge of the science. That's why the popular articles are equally important. And when you grow in your profession with time, then it's very important that we need to write some policy. Policy, friends, you must be aware, and I'm sure you will be agreeing with me, that to have impact of any science, the integration of the science in the policy is very important. If policymakers and scientists are not able to come together, the real impact of the science will be missing. So whatever good quality of the science, as a researcher, we may be able to do, but if we are not able to translate it in a language which is better understood by the policymakers, I can caution you, I can assure you that your research will be really very difficult to get the policy support. So writing policy papers is as important as writing research papers or review papers. Nowadays, technology-driven, the expression of your ideas can also come through writing of the scientific blogs. So this is again a new area that is really coming up. As far as our country is concerned, I tried to Google it, and there are a lot of differential reports. Some say that India is the third largest producer of the scientific articles. Some say that India is the fourth, some say it is fifth. So largely you can say that if I make a statement that India is basically one of the topmost country which is producing largest number of the papers, that will be a quite relevant and correct statement. And if you look at the this data is slightly old, but if you don't go by the year, but look at the rate at which the number of the Indian publications is going up. It is going up. This is number one. And the rate of increase is also going up. So there's a two-way increase, the increase per se, and the rate of increase also increasing. That means probably the Indian scientific group are more aware than anybody else in the world as far as documentation of the research results is concerned, or some other kind of the publications they are making. But at the same time, there are some issues as well. Draw your kind attention these two statements. One is that it says that in India, science and technology research, quantity trumps quality. If you go to any good critic site, or you just put a Google word, Google search, then you will realize that there may be some kernel of truth in this statement. I'm not saying that it is absolutely true statement, but as a researcher, as a scientist, I do realize that there is absolutely some kernel of truth in the statement when somebody says that the quantity is trumping quality. And there is evidence of this. This was analysis that was published some time back. And it took the number of the publication in the research journal, which is known as Nature. As you as an active researcher, you might be knowing that in the world today, Nature has the reputation of being the most reputed research journal, not only today, for the last several decades. Historically, it has been one of the most, the most reputed journal. And most of the Nobel Prizes that basically have been coming through in different areas of science. If you look into the details of those, I think most of the results out of which the Nobel Prizes are given, most of them are published in Nature. So somebody did this analysis, and you look at this analysis, which says that from the 1940 onwards, and this data is up to 2014, it was published in probably 2019 or so. The number of the papers published in the Nature from the Indian groups is consistently coming down. So this is one parameter which puts a kind of the qualification to the statement which is written on the top of this slide. Also look at the different areas where individual science groups are contribution in terms of their contribution in publication. And this is you see the agricultural sciences are contributing less than 3% of total publication in science. The highest is contributed by engineering and technology, followed by physics, and so on. And you see even earth and environmental sciences, which is so important nowadays, they're also contributing less than 4%. So this is the breakdown of how we are basically evolving as scientists in the different areas. And this publication, this report came just 2 months back. It was published in the Current Science, and I will strongly recommend you must read this paper. This is really very, very interesting and very, very critical analysis. It has also identified some gaps, and they have and in this critical analysis, you will find that what are the certain things that are ailing our science and how we can really address in terms of our own efforts, and also in terms of getting connected with the policymakers so that we are really able to help science to a larger extent. When we complete a project, when we develop when we analyze our data, then the first question comes, let us start writing. This is the most difficult part, because writing is basically, it is very unique to the author. Everyone has its own style of writing. And there's information that from our country, on an average, 2.5 total articles published in a year are 2.5 million articles published in a year. Those could be publications by individual scientists or team of the scientists. Every author or co-author has a role to play, not only in terms of science, doing the science, undertaking the projects, but also in the analysis, interpretation, and writing. There's a change nowadays. Change the way the research papers are dealt by the journals. In the last decade, I have seen that good journals are asking you to give a statement which is published at the end of the article. But what is your contribution in this particular article which is published in that particular journal? It asks you whether the idea came to your mind, or if there are a team of co-authors who contributed what. Somebody might have contributed in terms of developing, in terms of generating the data. Some might have contributed in terms of analysis of the data. Some may be interpretation of the data, which means within a research paper, which was earlier considered as a joint effort of all authors and co-authors. Now, journals are becoming sensitive enough to indicate that what is contributed by whom in that particular paper. So this is one thing, and there are a lot of reasons behind this. One is when you claim for your intellectual property, then these kind of the statements which are given by the authors or co-authors and ultimately published by the journals, at that time these statements become important. Another important thing that we have seen in the recent past, in many journals, there's a big army of authors. That big army, sometimes you will find a lot of interesting comments by some of the most critical analysis some people put forward, that whether it was a really synergistic, that everyone contributed in that particular publication, or it is something you take care of me, I will take care of you. What in biology you call symbiosis, try to help each other. And let me share my own experience. If you do it as a part of synergy, that is great, fantastic. You are a good team worker, you are a good team member. But if it has come as a symbiosis, you take care of me, I take care of you, then there are chances that people will be able to identify that mechanism either as a synergy or symbiosis when you are interviewed for your higher positions. The people sitting on the other side of the table while interviewing you, they will be able to make you really realize by digging out those critical questions out of that publication. So my message here is that we have to be part of the synergy and not the symbiosis. Another big issue nowadays, which authors, co-authors, journals, everyone is facing, is the increased magnitude of plagiarism. Earlier it was very difficult. Now it is very easy to recognize, to identify, and to point out the plagiarism, because there are a lot of softwares which can do this job within a few seconds. I do remember whenever we get some papers for review or our own papers when we write, sometimes they come back indicating that the magnitude of the commonality is probably 30% or 40%, 20%, 10%. There are some issues in this, some real and some machine and technology based. Many a time when we repeat a statement of the earlier workers, as a researcher, I would like to repeat that statement as such, because I'm quoting someone, that this is the group of authors, they made this statement. What that software does, it picks up that statement and say that it is the part of the plagiarism. So The thing is that we need not to be totally software-based decisions. We have to use our own wisdom. We have to use our own experience. Many journals are able to do it effectively, but some are very strict. So to deal with the plagiarism is coming up as a new challenge in today's documentation of science. Choice of journal, this is the most difficult thing. Dr. R.S. Yadav Sahab, when we were together working on the data set on the intercropping of the palmillet and cluster bean, we faced this challenge, and this challenge is very common. How to really decide a good journal, which will be taking your research as accepted research paper. And then you see there are other things which authors do consider. I will explain a little bit later. But today you see that there are around 30,000 to 40,000 academic journals. So you can imagine yourself to be part of this picture that I have included in this slide. The two potential authors are trying to find out what is a possible journal where they can publish their research. One co-author is looking at the number of the journals, and other is looking at, my goodness, this is the journal which rejected my paper last time, so I'm not going to submit to it. So you see, the point is that there are a lot of issues, lot of criteria by which each one of us takes an ultimate decision on the choice of the journal. And on a number of the journals nowadays, if you go for the last 2 decades analysis, they are increasing at the rate of 5 to 7% annually, which means number of the journals are mushroom like anything. A number of the articles are increasing, number of the scientists hopefully should be increasing. I put before you 3 or 4 issues actually, which have become relevant today. As an author, we always see that what is the chances of my research work getting accepted and getting published in the particular journal that as an author we target for. And of course, relevance is absolutely important. If I'm an agronomist, I would like to publish in a journal which is read by a large number of the agronomists. If you do the other way around, the publication might come through, but the ultimate thing that you want that the more professionals in your specialization area should read those papers, then you must make it sure that whenever we are choosing a journal, it is highly relevant. Publishing your work in irrelevant journal, nothing can be more unfortunate than that. Of course, we do all consider that what are the chances of the acceptance of my work. This is one of the important criteria. 4 things that I want to indicate before you, which has become very important nowadays. Now you see, the journals you can put in different categories. Some are the paid journals. They charge you a certain amount of publication charges depending upon the number of the pages your article covered. Some professional societies, some good journals in every area of science does that. At the same time, there are some journals which basically don't charge any publication fees. They are free, but they are not open access. That is one category, either it is paid or it is free. Then another category is the open access. Some journals who are basically charging the paid charges, that may be free, but some do get a good amount of publication charges. Open access has become a new funda nowadays, but there are certain issues with respect to open access journals. I will try to come to later on, or probably 2 or 3 slides later. And another class of journal has come nowadays, online journals. They are basically not printing those journals at any given point of time. Everything remains online for the future time, So this is another class of the journals which have come up. There are certain issues I will come to next slide. Important factor, the last bullet in this slide, you can see that one of the criteria by which we select our own journal to be target for our publication is the impact factor. Impact factor is really dominating the scene as on today, because you are basically judged by the impact factor of the journal in which your publication is taken. But impact factor is debated nowadays. Is it everything? Should we totally governed by the impact factor and ignore anything else? Let us take one example. One journal, one issue. The impact factor of the journals remains the same. But as a researcher, you will see that all the papers are not of good quality. Their quality will differ definitely in terms of the data, in terms of the area. So thing is that when you consider impact factor, all those good papers or not good papers will be judged similarly, because impact factor of journal is same, but the quality of the paper is different. So this is one of the important limitation, that is it everything? If you ask me, probably not, because all is not good in high impact journal. Another point is that now publishing journals has become a business. Of course, it's a business, no doubt about this. People are making good money out of this. Good publishers, good international reputed publishers. So whenever you integrate science with business, as far as the commercialization of science is concerned, I'm fine. But when business becomes out of the way, that how much you publish, how much institutes basically you are representing in that particular journal, that has given rise nowadays another kind of the big issue in the research, that is the online predator journals. You might have seen nowadays, you will all of a sudden get a request daily basis. I'm telling you from my own experience, I'm getting daily 10 to 15 mails that we are ready. Say today, if I get a mail, we are ready for the Feb 2023 issue. Please submit your article and decision will be taken within 2 months. Dr. R.S. Yadav Sahab, you must be also getting such good requests on your Yahoo or Gmail, because you have been a good author all the time. So this is another area which is really, people have used the term the predator. This is something which is relevant, and it's not completely irrelevant. For your consideration, I have put two statements. One from the Indian National Science Academy, which really keeps a very close eye on how the science is taking place in our country, in terms of the quality, in terms of the challenges that scientists and science is facing. Myself being the fellow of the Indian National Science Academy, I do contribute to raising about these issues. And I have produced two statements. I have taken out the name of those scientists who have made these statements, so that we judge it not from the personal perspective, we judge it on the face value of the statement. And I would like to read it for your detailed, the capture of the message. The first statement says that by putting a premium on publication in such journals, which means high impact journals, we are asking our young researchers to do a certain kind of research and to ensure that this research is published in a certain kind of journals, which means by putting a label of impact factor, we are probably impacting the thought process of the scientist, thought process of the researcher, and making them influence that you do a certain kind of research and you publish results of those research in certain types of the journals. That is the one thing on which the impact factor is becoming the subject of some criticism. I read another statement, quote, what they are doing primarily, they mean scientists. what they are doing primarily needs to be driven by the curiosity and by the satisfaction. This should be the base of science, that you get at the end of the finding something new and the joy out of your own work. Otherwise, what will happen if you start thinking in terms of the total impact factor, then this is another kind of the criticism that scientists should be led by the curiosity, by the satisfaction and joy of doing science, rather than he or she being judged by the impact factor in which impact factor of the journal in which he or she writes a paper. There's another issue which is coming up. Again, I quote and unquote over here. This is again a statement. Several institutes are asking researchers' contribution to be segregated as being published in national and international journals. You see, if you apply for higher positions, in those pro formas, you will find something that paper in the national journals, paper in the international journals. This is a kind of serious discrimination. This is a very, very serious discrimination. I re-emphasize this point. No journal should be branded as national or international. This is demeaning of some nations and highlighting and giving more importance to other nations. Science has to be judged by the quality, not by where it was published. The country can be X, Y, Z or ABC. I think the kind of the national and international journals classification needs to be strongly discouraged. This impact factor is becoming now, the why it is called predator. Again, I have caught a statement from the Indian National Science Academy, and which is a fact also, that there is an increasing number of publications for a fees, and many journals are charging 2 lakhs up to one paper. A recent investigation report by the Indian Express revealed that the presence of 100 such journals in India, which charge hefty fees to churn out so-called research papers with minimal editing and reviewing. This is one area, Dr. R.S. Yadav, sir. You see, your paper, hardly any editing, hardly any reviewing. And this is being criticized at several platforms. And I one statement taken from the current science. Should Indian researchers pay to get their work published? This is good breeding ground for the predator journals. And some of the journals are charging up to $5,000. What is the impact of this? The number of the contributors in that paid fees goes up. That's why the army of the authors continuously is swelling. 20 people, 30 people, 40 people, 50 people, and so on. And this has really bothered our policymakers. This is again a statement that the genesis has to be sought from the fact that nearly 2-3 decades, scientists have agreed that they will pay open access charges and processing charges and so on. And this is a perfect ready ground for the predator journals. And this policy issue has been taken up recently by the UGC. I do remember that there was a incident where there's a provision in UGC that they have identified certain journals, that if you publish your research results in these identified journals, which is highlighted, then from the UGC, this will get this much fund. This is the report which is basically discussed in this paper. Payment for papers, plans, plant rattles scientist. So I will strongly encourage you to read this as well. It appeared in the, I think, Nature. Another point regarding impact factor is this. Me being an agricultural scientist, where the ultimate clientele is farmer, not the industry, I put before you 5 examples from the 5 crops. The impact, and here the impact of research, journal vis-a-vis impact of technology. Let me start with one, crop wheat. These are 2 varieties, recent varieties, and the total benefit coming to the farmers, it is several thousand crores each year. C306 is a historically important variety, Dr. Aras Yadav Sahab. We know this is a unreplaceable variety, and how much benefit it has accrued to the country, to the farmers, to the consumer. Several lakhs crore rupees put together for the last 10 or 20 years. Rice Pusa 1121. Every year, this variety plus few others, the total export business is 70,000 crore annually from this and plus 3 other varieties. Sugarcane CO238, the variety developed by Karnal, a place hardly 200 kilometers away from the place where all of you are sitting. This variety has revolutionized sugarcane farming, and the developer of this variety this year got Padam Shri, Dr. Bakshiram. He was our senior. Dr. Rajendra Sahab, aapko to pata hi hai. My own variety MPMH17 and few other palm nut hybrids. If you look publications from these research, I have produced my own paper from this MPMH17, and this is the variety. This particular hybrid is earning 3,000 rupees crore per year by the farmers of this country, particularly in Western Rajasthan. And as an example, I can show you that all the publications coming out from these varieties, they are published in the journal which is having 0 impact factor. It is not listed in the impact factor. This is the serious weakness of the impact factor, particularly in the agricultural sciences, where your target is the client, your target clientele is the farmer. Farmers are looking forward for the technology which can make change in their lives. And that's why I'm saying that the impact factor should not be the sole criteria of judging the impact of science, particularly in agricultural sciences. And this is the example, whether you take rice, wheat, palm nut, maize, sugarcane, whatever. Reviewing has another issue. You see, whenever we publish, we submit our article, it goes through a review process. Review process has gone a tremendous change in the recent past. Number one, now it is an online review process, thanks to the technology. Earlier, we used to pay for the airmail charges, 100 rupees, 50, 200 rupees, 300 rupees. Mail was reaching in 1 month, coming back, and the process was really very long. But now online process, reviewing has been very fast. Another change is that from the open mode, from the closed mode, now it has become open mode. Earlier, you were never knowing who has reviewed your article. It was never known to you. Now, when the paper is published finally, author knows already, but everybody knows that by whom this paper was reviewed. So on the paper itself, you will know that who is the author, who is the reviewer. Some journals are asking that who could be the potential reviewer. So you can suggest reviewer of your own work. This is creating some difficulties. Though the mode is fast, but you write paper, you suggest your own reviewer, and number of the reviewers are 2 to 3. Maximum 3, sometimes 1, sometimes 2. So issue is that you suggest your own reviewers, and a decision is taken on the basis of those 2 or 3 reports, and then for your whole life, you will be judged by that paper published in a journal having certain impact factor. So review process is really becoming subject of debate. Have a look at this paper published in 25th April 2022. It was published in Current Science. Current Science is one of the best journal which is being published from India. Look at this title of this presentation. Is the peer review system in scientific publishing broken? This is really a food for thought. Each one of us who is writing, who is reviewing, who is publishing the research work, you see how the things change with the evolution of the technology. So this is another area of big concern, the review process per se. Even some are suggesting that let us stop the review process. Let the science, let the paper, let any criteria of judgment be judged by your science citation index. If your paper is not cross-referred, then it will go into the kind of oblivion. So again, this is one area in which all sincere and thought-provoking scientists are putting their ideas behind it. My probably last but one slide. We have gone through everything. As a researcher, what you should do after your research is published? Should it be taken as end of the process, or there should be something more? From my own experience, I can tell you that now publishing a paper, publishing the research output of your project or thesis is one thing. Making it known is another thing. Fortunately, earlier you see people used to go to the library, find out the specific journals, and then the time the scientist was able to devote was maybe 20%, 30% time in the library. But that had put a lot of restriction because he has to do so many other things also, write new papers, conduct new research, doing some teaching, etc., etc. So the issue was that every one of us was having access to limited number of the papers, and each one of the author or as a co-author, we were able to send our research results to a very limited people. Now the canvas is totally changing. You can share your research results on the ResearchGate. You can share on the LinkedIn. You can tweet. You can do Facebook or your other platform on which you can really Instagram or whatever platform you want to basically share. But my very serious advice to youngsters particularly, that we all are governed by the copyrights. We cannot share our PDF on the ResearchGate, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, or tweet directly. You must be very careful that you don't violate copyrights. So please do make this. And as I mentioned in the beginning, that connecting with the stakeholder, being agricultural scientist, my first stakeholder is the farmer. I would like to put the information, the knowledge that I created, the product that I developed in the public domain for the benefit of the farmers. But at the same time, I would like to connect with the policymaker and try to convince him that, you see, this is the way my research work is important. This is the product. This is the process by which this product has to be delivered to the farming community so that they are benefited. Because ultimately, it is the public investment that has basically come into it. So it's very important to build a relationship with the policymakers. How to build that relationship? You write a blog, you write a policy brief, you go to the media, you create videos, you hold event. in which you involve policymakers. That is the one thing I have learned over a period of time, which is so important, probably as important as doing research. And let us also not forget that as a professionals, we evolve with time. If I read my own papers, which I wrote in the 1990, I sometimes feel, oh my God, is this the paper written by me? No, probably if I do this thing today, I would like to do that thing in a much better way, because behind my own experience is the 35 years. So as a researcher, we do evolve. And during that period of evolution, I see 3 distinct phases of 10 years each, if we assume that the 30 years is the effective period of a scientist. In the first 10 years, we should make very serious efforts to publish good papers in relevant journals, doing good science in those journals which are subject specific. Agronomist, as a pathologist, as a breeder, as a geneticist, as a soil scientist. But once you are doing this thing effectively for 10 years, the next phase should become your professional specification. You should be known that, yes, that R.S. Yadav is a good agricultural scientist. He's working over there as on today. So next 10 years, you should be known by your profession. You should make efforts. And last 10 years, we should be able to put more efforts. What is the impact of our work? We should be able to really work on those lines. My final message to each one of you, that guidelines of the publications, the way you publish papers, the number of the papers you publish, the choice of the journals you go for, they may be dynamic. They change over time. In the whole process I put before you, review process has undergone change. The way you publish undergone change. But what is not going to change? What is not going to change? For that, there are 3 things which are not going to change. For rather 5 things, they are listed over here. They are static. Your planning of research is very, very important. Whatever way you publish, you have to plan research in such a way that your research is relevant. Then executing the project plans are absolutely important. Absolutely important. Then data generation has to be put with a certain qualification, that you have to generate quality data. And there are a lot of intervention when you can differentiate between a poor quality data and good quality data. Good quality data is essential to produce quality publications. Analyzing data, it's again going to stay forever. New tools and techniques are now becoming available. The kind of the freely available softwares, you can really analyze the data the way you want. Interpreting the data is again very important. And finally, writing and publishing. The first 5 points are going to be ever important. Nothing can replace that. Writing and publishing process may change with time. It will continue to change with time. But first 4 things, I think we have to be very, very particular. So this is my final message to each one of you. And I must profusely thank organizers, the university, for giving me this opportunity to share my own thoughts, how I have evolved as a scientist, starting my career in early 90s and going on in the process, learned some good experience, some bad experience. But the message is that nothing can replace good science. Making team is very important. If you cannot make a good team, probably the team leadership quality need to be developed by each one of us. So thank you very much for your time, and must profusely thank university for giving me the opportunity. And if you have any question, please ask. If I know the reply, I will give you. Otherwise, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. It was really a very informative session. I hope the participants that have joined through Zoom, and there are many of the participants that have joined through YouTube. They have really gained a huge knowledge from your side. There are a few questions from the participants. I would like to take them with your due permission. May I?
Please go ahead.
Okay. Sir, one of our participant named Rishi Kalaria is asking why UGC draft 2018 more emphasizes to publish data in international journal or more impact factor. Due to this, scientists having international collaboration could publish data easily compared to scientists that doesn't have it, any international collaboration. Is UGC planning in any upcoming policy or science and tech department at India level?
The question is raising some concern that I shared with you. And there is no definite answer to this question. The thing is that the people who are involved in the policy of science, this job is given to the academies. Indian National Science Academy is one of the most important academy. We are taking up these issues with the policymakers that let us not put a restriction. And as I mentioned, national and international classification of the journal is completely misnomer. It is absolutely incorrect. Say for example, how people judge it. They think that how you define national international journal. Let us say nature. Let us take nature, right? The best journal. It is published from UK. Nature journal is published from UK. For the UK scientist, it is a national journal. For Indian scientist, it is an international journal. So the classification of the journals into national and international categories is completely wrong. It is misnomer, and other criteria should be used. And you see, in the science, these kind of the issues, for example, raised by one of the participant in form of the question that you read, these questions will continue to come. The National Science Academies are sensitive. They will be taking up these issues with the relevant, whether UGC or universities or whatever other organizations, and we continue to highlight these concerns of the scientists, and things will be continuously evolving.
Thank you so much, sir, for answering your question at your level. Now I would like to call Dr. R.S. Yadav, sir, the Associate Dean of Faculty of Agriculture Sciences, SGT University, Gurugram. Please, sir, you can join.
Hello.
Adasa, good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm fine. Good to see you.
On the behalf of the SGT University, I thanks Dr. O.P. Yadav, the Director Kajri, and my, you can say, beloved friend to be there in this FDP and share his views and give the recent information about publishing, how to publish the research paper, and what are the difficulties in publishing research papers, plagiarisms, impact factors. And I know he's very critics about the science, and it is a very hardcore scientist, I must say. And that is why it is well known among the scientific fraternity of the country and national and international level. And one thing which I share with you, that it is very hard reviewer, I must say. And that is why I never send him the thesis of plant breeding genetics from my university, because I know he's very hard reviewer in this sense, and you can say no excuse may be there. So we call them as a very hardcore scientist. Now I thanks again to Dr. O.P. Yadav for his nice, you can say, the dialogues with the participants. Thank you very much, sir.
Great, sir. Thanks for connecting me with this group.
So once again, from Team Just Agriculture and SGT University, I would like to give a heartfelt thanks to Dr. O.P. Yadav for connecting with us. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, wish you all the best and continue doing good work, publish good papers, and the issues that one of the participants raised, they will be there. But our main aim should be to good science and to publish the work. If we don't publish, that means we have not done that work. So publication is important. Issues will be there. Don't think that you will at any point of time find a day that will be completely free of challenges. The way you want them to be, that day will never come in anybody's lifetime. Life is beautiful when there are challenges. So let us be ready to face those challenges and contribute as much as we can. So thank you very much once again.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. So thank you all the participants for joining the session. We'll meet up tomorrow at the regular timing at 4 p.m.